then there was hush.
Hopefully this is working. Look at that. Hopefully you can all hear us at the back. Yep, thumbs up. Great, fantastic. Thank you very much indeed for being here promptly. My name is Chris Ranger. I'm proud to be the chairman of Denley Parish Council, and this is the annual parish assembly for the residents of Denley, you, and welcome to All Saints Church Hall on Tuesday the 21st of April. So thank you, and I've got a few slides to share with you. There'll be an opportunity towards the end of the presentation for questions and answers to the councillors, and at the end we've got an opportunity to meet with the various fantastic community groups that are here, and hopefully get a bite to eat and a drink as well. So hopefully it'll be a good evening. So thank you. So first of all, welcome and introductions. Officially, there are no planned fire drills or fire exercises this evening, but if the alarms do go off, there are two fire exits. There's one here on the right-hand side, and there is one through the doorway you came in, hopefully, if you did come in that way, through the main entrance. So there's nothing planned for this evening, so just to let you know that. Before we go into the introductions though, I would just like to share some sad news that some of you may already be aware, some of you may not, but in the right frame of mind, I think it's the right thing to do. So the passing of Mike Reed, unfortunately. Mike Reed, who some of you may be aware, or most of you may be aware, excuse me, he was the chair of Denley Parish Council from 1988 to 2001. And he was also the Mayor of Winchester in 2008 and 9, and also served as a Winchester City Councillor. And after a short illness, unfortunately, Mike passed away on Sunday, just gone. So what I'd like to do, if it's okay with everybody, please, if you can stand, I'd like to have a minute's silence on behalf of Mike. So if you can get everyone to stand, for those that think you can, and then we'll start a minute's silence from now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I alluded to mention about Mike, but also I had the opportunity to meet with Mike a couple of months ago at a Denley Twinning event, because for those of you that may also be aware that he was up until recently the president of the Denley Twinning Association as well. So I forgot to mention that in the earlier part of the speech. My apologies. But thank you for your consideration and for your minute silence. I'm sure Mike, Jan and family would appreciate that. So just a couple of introductions I'd like to kick off. We've got, are there some chairs available? Do we need some more chairs out there, yeah? There's a few more down here, if you want to. There's a couple here as well, by the way. Phil, there's a couple of chairs here, sir. Sure, take it. Safely seated.
It's all right, we've been up to the old school.
We're very efficient.
Wrong place. But thank you for coming anyway. Okay, in terms of introductions, we have several of our parish councillors here this evening. Not everybody could make it, unfortunately, but what I'd like to do just briefly is introduce Vice Chair and Chairman of Highways and Planning, Councillor Martin Clay. So Martin, just want to turn around and show everyone your pretty
Good
face.
evening, everybody.
Good. Sorry?
Good turnout.
Great turnout, isn't it? Yeah.
Good to see you all. Thank you very much for coming.
All right, you can finish now. I'd also like to introduce the Chair of Amenities, Councillor Carson. Thank you. And also like to introduce Parish Clerk, Proper Officer Joe Harris, for those of you that have not had a chance to meet with Joe before. Joe's busy in fact scribing, making the minutes and the notes and keeping us on track, which he's always doing very well, so thank you, Joe. Okay, enough of the introductions and the welcome. So in terms of the next item on the agenda, we're going to be covering the last annual Parish Assembly, which was held the 14th of April of last year. It's an official part of the meeting whereby the minutes were recorded and have been published before today, and the councillors that were at the meeting in 2025 are allowed to sign off those minutes accordingly. So I think if I recall correctly, I think Councillor Clay, Councillor Stallard and Councillor Vickers were there. So are we okay to sign those minutes off? If you want to show hands please for that.
Thank you, Chair. I approve.
You okay? Good. So we have okay with that then, Joe. Thank you. Sorry? I'll just sign those off, thanks. Thank you. I'm just going to... In terms of the other items on the agenda, we're going to do a short presentation in terms of some of the activities that we've accomplished as a council for 2025-2026, that's the last year. There'll be a short update on the neighbourhood plan, Denby neighbourhood plan, and also looking ahead in terms of some of the activities that we've got scheduled and budgeted and planned for the coming year. We thought that would be of interest to hopefully many of you. And we've also got our first Citizens of the Year award, which is a really exciting thing, and we can cover that in a little part of the agenda further down. And then finally, just before close, we have the Q&A session, question and answer session with councillors, district and register accordingly. So that's the format for the rest of the evening, so thank you. So in terms of last year's achievements, hopefully you can read that. Just some of last year's, not the list of achievements. I won't read out all the bubbles, but just to give you an idea that we haven't actually been sitting around trying to do nothing for the last 12 months. We've actually tried to do quite a lot of things. In fact, there's too many things to do, to be honest, bearing in mind all the councillors are volunteers. And I thank all the councillors for their hard efforts and work, as well as the office staff accordingly. We now have a full council of 13 councillors. We didn't have that at the beginning of the year, last year, May, and only had 13 councillors from January this year, as a matter of interest. And that means a lot. It means that we can spread the workload in terms of some of the activities, and who can do what. We can support the different committees and the working parties accordingly. We spend a lot of time and effort as a group on the budget, and hopefully you've seen the feedback and indeed some of the social as well as some of the postings in terms of the budget precept that's been agreed with Winchester and posted accordingly. We've implemented online training for all councillors and office staff in a plethora of different organisation training events. Most of it's online, so councillors can do it in their own time accordingly. We've also spent a lot of time developing the relationships further with the community groups, and I think testimony to that is some of the groups that you see here today. We haven't got room for all of the groups, which is good and bad, but this is the first time we've done this type of event, and perhaps feedback for the future would be that we need either a bigger place and need to advertise sooner so that all the community groups that are present can be part of the event. We've held 2 public meetings. We held a meeting in September regarding the burial ground, but we also held a meeting in January with Southern Water and the Environmental Agency regarding the flooding and the conditions and the sewage issues that were big on the residents' mind back in December, January. Rubber resurfacing of the play areas has started. That was a big thing for the parents who grandparents have got their kids in the play areas. It's a lot cleaner, a lot safer, and a lot more hygiene. So that's a great thing. Citizens of the Year, we'll come on to that a little later. We had a resident survey, and I think that's probably the first one we've done for this year. But we actually asked the residents of the Carpenter's Field area about what type of play equipment they wanted for their children in the land that we've acquired and transferred from Persimmon. We have the community garden that we've been working with DCC and as well as the Demi Greening organisation. And for those of you that do or have visited the burial ground recently, you'll see a post box that is just about to be, I think it's still coming up, right? Is it still coming?
Yeah, we're just waiting for
Just like
play.
so there's letters from heaven. So it allows people to post letters to their loved ones because we think that's a nice thing to do. Just in terms of just a few pictures, if you can see those, we spent some time, effort and money on refurbishing and putting seats on the bus shelters. We have a new defibs in some of the locations. In the next Denmead scene, there'll be a map of Denmead area with all the defibs and how to use the defibrillators. That one is there is the chair makers as a matter of interest. We had a successful chicken run, an Easter fun day at the DCC that was organised in conjunction with some of the community groups here tonight. It was a very successful event, and thank you for the councillors involved with that. I think the children thoroughly enjoyed it, maybe the adults as well. We got some new swings at last in terms of the parks. There's a snake swing, I believe it's called. And we've actually got finally some new swings in the other park areas as well. Some pathways, both the burial ground and the bowling club pathways have been repaired at last. We've had a new fencing at the Heathfield Memorial Hall. And finally, the finials, not a very good picture, it's out of focus, apologies, but that was a project started before last with the previous chair, Councillor Nathan Smith and the team, but pleased to say that we've now completed that project with, I think 17 finials across the village, and they will look very smart as well. So this is a few of the things that we've been doing in the last 12 months. Switching gears, neighbourhood plan. Need a sleep, excuse me.
Sorry, Chair, are you taking questions at the end?
There's a question and answer. Sorry. There is a question and answer session towards in the next few slides. Thank you. That's better. So, Denmead neighbourhood plan. Denmead neighbourhood plan. This is some would say a fast-moving beast. Some would say it's a slow-moving beast, but it is a beast. And whoever you speak to, wherever you speak to, whoever, whether it be Winchester, whether it be consultants, whether it be current councillors, ex-councillors, old councillors, etc., you slightly get different views and different opinions. However, I think it's fair to say that we do have a current neighbourhood plan. And the neighbourhood plan takes us to 2031. That is the current plan, and that is locked and loaded. So what we're now looking at doing as a council, and this has been primarily driven by the steering group, which is a subset of the parish council, and some members of the steering group, I think, are here tonight. I saw Liz earlier, that's for sure. I didn't see Alan or Frank, but I just want to call out the steering group because they've got a very difficult task working with the council, obviously, but also going through the mountains of documents that both Winchester and the consultants, as well as ourselves, develop and drive accordingly. And I just specifically wanted to call out a big thanks to the steering group on the neighbourhood plan. And they are tasked by the council because they are a subset of Denmead Parish Council, and they are tasked with updating that neighbourhood plan for the additional dwellings that I think the majority of us in the room are fairly familiar with, and we refer to that as Carpenter's Field Phase 2. Okay? And the plan that the steering group have worked on has been ready to go in most respects. It's what they call a screening phase. So Winchester City Council, as I'm sure that you're aware, if not, they have approved their local plan and have indicated they will need more than the number of original dwellings that we had originally planned. We don't know how many more. Originally, the plan was based on the 100 dwellings. However, we don't know from Winchester when we will get the details from Winchester. They have told us indicatively it will be middle of next year. Okay, that's what we know. That may be earlier than that, I don't know, it may be later, but that's the latest information as of this week, that we'll get an indication from Winchester that we will need more. And that's not Winchester telling us that we need more, that's central government telling build, we've got to have more houses, etc. It just cascades all the way down the chain. And then Winchester will divvy up what they've been told and work along the parishes accordingly. So yes, there will be more, but we don't know when and we don't know how many. And that's just a statement of fact in that respect. Prior to submission to screening, so what this means is that the Denby neighbourhood plan is ready to go. And the steering group, as I said earlier, we met last night in fact, and the opportunity to submit that plan is ready to go. And we, the council, will review those options at the next full council meeting, which is on May the 20th. And on May the 20th, the full council will take recommendation from the steering group. They may choose to adopt it, they may choose not to adopt it. However, the council will hear from the steering group recommendations as to what we should be doing moving forward. And that includes all the relevant processes, including site selection, to make sure that everything is completed consistently and objectively. And then DPC will then decide, after the full council on the 20th of May, to either submit the current plan as it is, or for screening. And the screening is the first phase of the document process done by Winchester. So the screening includes making sure that everything has got all the right documents, addendums, whether we not have various assessments included, for example. And then once that decision has been made by the council, which way we go, then we'll need to update the plan to include additional sites, or not, as the case may be. And that's the update as to we stand today in terms of the neighbourhood plan. So no decisions have been made on which way we go. The full council meeting is on the 20th of May. Obviously, residents are entitled to attend from the public participation session, but there will be an agenda item that goes out before the 20th for the council to discuss the opportunities of what we have ahead of us. That's the status. The other thing to call out is, I think, prior to submitting the neighbourhood plan, whatever the decision is, and we don't want to predetermine anything, but the independent examiner that the Denby Parish will need to make sure is that the whole process has been, the whole process of the site selection has been carried out openly and transparently. That meets the needs and the wishes of the whole community. So it's not just the Denby Parish thing, this is for the whole community, and I think that's an important thing to make as well. That's the update on the neighbourhood plan. There'll be more information as and when we get drip fed by Winchester in terms of what's going on, when we get the details. But that's where we are, and I just wanted to share that information with you this evening, just to make sure that everyone's got the same updates. So just a couple of things, just one more slide before we go into a couple of other areas. But looking forward to this current year, just shifting gears now. So we've now passed the April cut-off in terms of last year, and some of the things we're looking at doing this year. So on our agenda for this year, some of these have got budget and some of them haven't, by the way, so this is a challenge for the parish to work out how we're going to fund it or how we're not going to fund it, or whether we move it into even the following year. But the general consensus was a CSO, or a Community Support Officer. Lots of parishes have a CSO. We as a council believe that for some of the antisocial behaviour and some of the other activities that go on in the village that perhaps go let's say, unchallenged by some of the legal forces, maybe having a CSO would be an answer. And we've spoken to several parishes that do have a CSO in place, and they've seen a remarks down to in AS antisocial behaviour activities. So it's something that we're very keen to explore as to whether that's the right thing to do for Denby. We have some open spaces, typically Carpenter's Field, that we need to complete the transfer on, as well as the build out in terms of the playground equipment. I mentioned earlier the resident survey, which is great, and thank you for the residents. If any of you are here tonight, I know that Councillor Betts conducted that in conjunction with the council to get feedback. We had a lot of good feedback in terms of the types of equipment, whether it's the little ones, the teenagers, what type of equipment, where it should be started, etc. It's not a very big area, however, at least we can get engagement with the people that are physically living there to get an idea of what sort of things that they believe that they need for their children and grandchildren in the area. Some of the older playground equipment is getting a little bit old. We've already updated some of it, as you've seen in the earlier slides, but some of it is in desperate need of an update. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. Even some of those swings that you saw earlier, some of those things go into thousands, believe it or not. Now, I know people can say, well, why does a swing cost £1,000 or whatever, but trust me, they do. So we have thank you very much indeed, Sam. We have a challenge of trying to refurb the old equipment, but then you have a timeline of taking out the old stuff, health and safety, looking at the new stuff that's coming in, etc. So there's a lot of work being done by the amenities team, led by Councillor Carson, to help drive some of that. Another area that we're looking at for this year is the DPC offices, the Denby Parish offices. For those of you that are not aware, the council used to be in the old school, Denby Community Centre. And a few years ago, the decision was made, for various reasons, to move to the pavilion. And that's where the offices are now, at the pavilion. That has good and bad impacts to the organisation. And as a result, we need to decide where we live as an office and where is the best place to entertain meetings with residents, where is the best place for the office staff, where is the best place for the ground staff, etc., etc. So that's a big project that's currently underway, and hopefully we'll be able to report back pretty soon as to the decisions on where we as a council will be living in the village. We set up a working group with the Environmental Agency based on the feedback we had from the Southern Water meeting back in January. For those of you that had the opportunity to attend, which was at the pavilion this time, we've set up a flood action group, and that will be published hopefully very soon. We're waiting for some information from the EA, but certainly that was one of the key items that came out of that particular meeting in terms of an agenda item. And I'm pleased to say that the Environmental Agency have stepped up and are willing to work with us so that we can be a little bit more proactive than we were last time. Not to say they're going to fix it all, but certainly at least we've got the engagement at the right time with the right organisation. Southern Water, by the way, whilst they're party of that process, they are not setting up the flood action group themselves, but they are a member of that group whereby they can attend accordingly. But it's led by the parish with the Environmental Agency overseeing the rules and regs on it. Utilising the pavilion more for the community. It's only really utilised a little. It's obviously the home currently of the Denby Parish Council and the office staff as well as the ground staff. It is used at the moment for downstairs is a childcare centre. We've also got the football club, who I think are here this evening, using it as well in probably more ways than most nowadays. And we've spent some money over the last year getting it up to scratch in terms of showers and toilets and kitchens, etc., etc. And one of our plans for this year is to allow more of the community to utilise the pavilion, whether it be for social events in the evening, for community clubs, not just football, but other organisations as well. So that's high on our list of leveraging that asset that we've got, which is a great asset. The skate park, for those of you, I think it's actually called a BMX park. I think, is that correct? Is that the right term? Skate park, is it? Okay. But again, that's come into the end of his life, and we keep having to repair it, and the decision needs to be made as to what we do in version 2. So working with people like Swings and Things, as well as we have a council working party. Let's look at the study of what we do next. Look at what other councils are doing. We've looked at Swanmore, and Swanmore looks pretty good. No decisions, because it's flipping expensive. And as a result, we've got to be very careful what we spend it on. But certainly, do we keep repairing and repairing, or do we change pieces as we go, etc., etc. So it's certainly a study that's been commencing, and looking forward to the outcome of that. We've agreed to relaunch the Community Speed Watch. Now, we struggle with this because, rightly or wrongly, we don't have enough volunteers. And this is a plea to help, or plea for help with amongst you or your colleagues or friends or family. We can't relaunch this unless we get a certain number of volunteers. I'm not asking for names this evening, so don't panic. However, if we don't get enough volunteers, we won't be launching it. As simple as that. And I know that we're all passionate about the speed in the village, but we do need a certain number of people to to help run that accordingly. And it's something that we as a council want to do. However, if we don't have enough volunteers, it's something that is going to be a complete struggle. We decided to spend some time and effort on the memorial garden. For those of you that have had the need to visit and do visit the burial ground, the memorial garden piece towards the end of the far side of the burial ground is a little, it just needs a little bit of a refurb, a bit of a tidy up. And I'm pleased to say that we've come up with some pretty intuitive ideas about how we can do that. Relatively low cost, which is great, but it's actually a nice thing to do and it will look nice once it's all done. So hopefully we can expect to see that in the next few months as well. We've got to finalise the negotiations. So there's been some postings recently about the Kilmore Lane toilets and car park. I, together with Councillor Clay and Joe Clark, and I'm just trying to think who else actually, I think there's the three of us, we've now met with Winchester twice, and as recent as last week, and they now know what it is we want, and we now know what they're willing to do, and they've gone back to see whether they can change their stance. And basically, and I'm happy to share that because it's Winchester's view, and they've done this with other parishes as well. So Wickham, for example, have been through a similar exercise, as well as Bishop's Waltham. The plan here is that the Kilmore Lane toilets, which is currently owned by Winchester City Council, could, I say, this is not a done deal, could become property of Denby Parish Council, and then we would maintain and upkeep accordingly. Whereas today we pay quite a large amount of money to Winchester, who do a very average job of maintaining them. However, the toilets sit in the car park, literally. So to get the toilets, you've got to have the car park. And there's the discussion we're having with Winchester. And the car park itself is a free car park. The car park has got a large car park, it's got an EV point in it, it's quite close to the shops, for those of you that are familiar with the area. So I think the last discussions we had on Friday of last week with Winchester was pretty positive, and they now know what they need to do for us, and they promised to get back to us very quickly. So I'm really positive with regards to the outcome that will have for the village as a community. And then finally, there's been some great work by Joe and the team in terms of Hampshire FA, relevant to football. So we've got some great steer from contacts at the Hampshire FA for application for some grants for pieces of machinery. And why is that important? It's not just for the football club, I hasten to add, so don't get too excited, but obviously other organisations and communities can use that. However, it will help reduce our costs dramatically. And hats off to Joe and the team for delving in and finding some 5-figure numbers of grants that are available that it wasn't very easy to find. However, when we found it, we realised that we've got a great shout at getting that. And I think within the next weeks, Joe, weeks or months, weeks?
Next 10 days.
Next 10 days, there you go, 2 weeks then, no pressure, to hopefully conclude that. But that would be a great coup if we could make that happen, because again, that just helps provide better facilities for the community, but also not coming out of our wallet. Right. Denby's Citizens of the Year Award. The Parish Council launched the Citizens of the Year Award this year for the first time to recognise those that go above and beyond within our community. Our parish, Denby, is built on lots of people doing lots of things, but it's what I call quiet commitment. And as a result, that quiet commitment of people often go unsung. They don't ask for anything in return, generally, or most of the time, and they work really hard behind the scenes to helping others. And we thought as a council it would be a great thing to do to have a poll with the council, with the residents, and identify a worthy winner for the first inaugural award for the Citizens of the Year Award for Denby accordingly. And we had the poll, I think some of you may have seen that on social media, and the DCC had a post box there, and there was a post box in one of the stores, I think, and one of the councils as well. And we had a great number of votes. I was staggered by the number of votes. So thank you and everybody that took time and effort to go through that. And this new initiative is just for those individuals, as I said, unsung heroes, and I think it's a great way of just saying thank you in a small way to the people accordingly. And I'm pleased to say that in this particular case, we as a council launched this initiative, and there were many votes, but certainly one particular vote that stood out, and the nomination. And what I'd like to do this evening is to actually award Tracy Ramsey, who I believe is here. Yes. So Tracy, so the public's choice to receive Citizens of the Year. So first of all, let's follow this, and also look, there is a special gold medal. I've been asked to place this round your neck. Carefully.
Don't strangle me.
I'm not going to strangle you, no. There you go. Right? Congratulations. Basically, dedication to the local scout group is fantastic. Fundraising, day-to-day running of, etc., etc. I mean, everything they seem to do, she's involved, and it's just a big thank you and well done, and congratulations to you, Tracy. Well deserved. That's the inaugural, and you can keep the medal. We don't need it back for next year. That's yours to keep. So, lucky you. Well done.
You have to give the flowers back though.
No, you can have those. But no, thank you and well done, and thank you for all the people that voted as well. As I said, it was a massive vote turnout, and it was well received. Okay, without further ado, this is where we now open it up. It's at the end of the formal slides, if you will, have completed. Just to give you a sort of a timeline or time check, we have a session now. I've called it Q&A with the councillors. It can be for anything that we've discussed so far. It could be specifically for the district councillors that we have in attendance this evening, or anything else to the Denby Parish councillors. It's your meeting in most respects. We have a bit of time, plenty of time, in fact. We've only got one slide and a few housekeeping things to wrap up at the end of this, and then we can review the community stands and get a drink and a bite to eat. So without further ado, I'll open it up now for questions and hopefully some answers from anybody or anyone that wants to ask. We did not get any questions submitted ahead of time. That was one of the requests. That's okay. You may have not had the chance, but you can ask the questions. If we can answer them, we will. If not, we'll take it away and we'll get back to you accordingly in the next few days. Okay?
Give the microphone.
Yeah, you're the roving mic.
I am.
Rove away. So,
Anybody?
let's go.
Yeah. Thank you. My question relates to the public conveniences, the loos, an interest of mine. I have a note of the meeting from yourself and Campbell Williams, and it says it was a really helpful discussion in terms of the current provision of public conveniences within the parish. I also appreciated the open conversation about your interest in securing an income-generating asset as part of any future transfer or lease arrangement. I was just interested in how you are planning on leveraging revenue from the toilets and car park.
We aren't. I'm not sure where the income... Oh, sorry, I've got the mic. And I think Martin and Joe were at the meeting as well, so feel free to comment accordingly. I'm not sure where the income generated bit. We've got no plans on making it a paid car park, for example, or no plans on making it a paid toilet convenience, as an example. So I'm very perplexed as to why Campbell had even done that. In fact, I've already gone back to him because that was not part of the conversation at all.
I say it's a really valuable asset for the village.
Absolutely.
And vital.
We wanted to keep free car parking and free toilets. I can't comment about the EVs. I don't know how they get charged and who pays for what, where and how, but ignoring the EV point, which may be another issue for another day, but certainly the car park and the toilets, no discussion about fees or payments accordingly.
That puts my mind at rest. Thank you very much.
No worries at all. Thank you. Thanks for the question.
Members?
I want a glass of wine and a sandwich. That's what we use. Oh, blame. Oh, thanks, Christian.
Will the Parish Council confirm whether it now proposes to delay the revised neighbourhood plan until 2027? And if so, explain why, in light of the Winchester City Council's written advice, that if the neighbourhood plan does not progress swiftly, the City Council will need to take on the responsibility of allocating developments in sites for Denby. And that, therefore, it is in the interest of the local community to have an up-to-date neighbourhood plan.
You get steps up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Neil. Good question. So we want a neighbourhood plan up to date as quickly as possible. That's a given, right? There are moving targets, as I mentioned earlier, regarding house dwelling allocations and timelines, and who you speak to wants to get a different answer. We have no. The next step of the whole process is the full council on the 20th of May will meet to discuss, and on the agenda there will be take the feedback that we received from the steering group, which was last night's meeting, and discuss the options that the steering group raised. There were two options for the steering group, and the full council will have a chance to review both those options at the full council on the 20th of May. Only then that the council will make that decision on the 20th of May. So I can't answer your question today, but hopefully I can answer it on the 21st of May. All right?
Oh, Joe, thank you. I was at the meeting last night, and that wasn't the outcome of that meeting. The proposal you have put forward is to extend the time for the neighbourhood plan and not put it forward.
That's the proposal, but nothing has been agreed.
There were not two options put forward last night.
We've since considered that we made sorry. That was the vote on the 3-2, Ian, that was correct. However, we may actually offer both opportunities back to the full council, so they get both sides of the story. So the first one was provided in terms of to delay. That was for sure. That was a vote last night. The steering group 3-2, and the decision was to delay because people wanted some more clarity in terms of the allocations as well as the objectivity. That's for sure. However, that may not be what the council decided on the May the 20th meeting. I mean, Martin, I think you were there, and I think other people were there last night at the hearing, so if you want to feel free to comment, then please do.
No, I think what the chair's provided this evening is adequate enough for a response.
Thank you. I was also at the steering group meeting last night, and the recommendation from the steering group was that we would, your recommendation to council on the 20th of May would be to delay the neighbourhood plan until Winchester released the new Sheila. Can I assure you and everyone present here that if council agrees to delay the neighbourhood plan, it won't just be until mid-2027, as that is when Winchester will publish the new Sheila. That is the document which details the sites that people have put forward for development. Some new sites are likely to come forward, and some might have dropped off the list. However, the entire process for the neighbourhood plan will need to be started again, with new assessment criteria being agreed, and all sites ranked against that criteria to narrow down the sites put forward for the initial consultation stage for the village, and that's where the village will be asked for the preferred site. This is where we were in October, November 2024. So we will be back in that same situation again. Council can then develop the policies and confirm the movement of the settlement boundary. That process is likely to take at least 2 years, taking us to mid-2029. It's not true to say that we have a current neighbourhood plan. We have a plan that's delivered the 250 dwellings that are allocated in the plan. That includes Little Frenchies, you will remember that was built back in 2014, Carpenter's Field, Gathering Gate and Firgrove Close. It is out of date in material planning terms, being 10 years old. And we don't have a plan for the current allocation of 100 dwellings. That's what this current supposed revision of the neighbourhood plan was supposed to deliver. Please make no mistake, if the plan does not go forward to screening, Winchester will take over as detailed in the newly adopted local plan, and they will decide on a case-by-case basis on the applications put before them by developers. Residents will have no say apart from the parish council objecting or supporting on our behalf. Denmead will be an open invitation to meet the Winchester's ever-increasing housing demands.
Thank you. As I said, 20th of May is on the agenda, and the council will take a decision on the 20th of May at the full council meeting, and then we'll go from there. I don't want to predetermine anything until the meeting. The councillors, not many of the councillors, are au fait with the neighbourhood plan, and I've asked a bit of homework for the new councillors to get up to speed as quickly as possible, and we're looking at ways of how we can bring all councillors up to speed ready for the 20th of May accordingly, so that we can have an objective discussion, and that's what we can do on the 20th of May. So I think there's a lady.
Good evening. Can I ask you whether or not you struck burial ground out of the Denmead plan?
I think you might have turned it off. Is it on there?
Can I ask? Right, are we there yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, can I ask you, Councillor Granger, have you struck off putting a burial ground in the Denmead plan?
No.
And also, are you looking into finding extra space that you turned down when you turned down the field in Ivans Lane that the village needs? Will that be included in the Denmead village plan? Are you looking for the land that we need as open space and also an extra burial ground?
So thank you for the question. I think there are two questions in there. Two questions. So the first one is the burial ground extension in or out of the current draft neighbourhood plan? I think was the first question, just to make sure. And the second question was that, irrespective of whether it's in or out, are we looking for additional land for either open space and or burial? I think was the question. Yeah. So we have not taken out the burial ground of the neighbourhood plan. It's in there. Yeah?
Was it in the minutes?
So the minutes haven't. So the neighbourhood plan is still draft. The full council will need to ratify the status of the neighbourhood plan on the 20th of May. There was a proposal to take the burial plan out, the burial plan out of the neighbourhood plan. That has not been a decision that has been taken by either party at this stage, as far as I'm concerned. So, as far as I'm concerned, it should still stay in there, like the Baton Court. Now, the Baton Court is a different issue, and that was only recently has that come out of the budget for the council, and that may need to come out of the neighbourhood plan. Today, that's still in as well. So there are things that need to be flushed or screened or reviewed that we just haven't had the time to physically go through because this has been a moving target over the last few months. So that's the first thing. Are we looking at open spaces and additional grounds? Yes. Have we identified anything? No. Would we still be looking for it? Yes. I don't know whether Ingham's or anything else would be available, but we haven't actively gone out to look for either Ingham's or anywhere else at this stage because we want to.
You know, everything around the village is being up for grabs. So if the parish council don't get off their pedestal and make a decision on what is available to us, what will we do?
Well, I think. Okay. So fair point, and I think on the 20th.
The land that we had at Carpenter's Field ended up less than you were arranged.
The what, sorry?
The land at Carpenter's
Yeah.
Field.
that there is other land allocated there, I believe, but certainly the plan will be that we'll have a way forward, I believe, as the chair of the council, with my fellow councillors, we'll have a way forward from the 20th of May in terms of whether we're going to submit what we've got, and there's a way forward there with the draft plan that we've already built, it's ready to go, that the steering group have already built and are comfortable with, and if that's what the council want to do on the 20th of May, that's what we'll submit on the 21st of May. And then Winchester can have that to start the screening process. So that could be quite quickly in that respect. If the council decide not to do that for whatever reason, then I don't know where the action will be after the 21st of May. But I don't want to predetermine what happens on the 20th of May. Okay? Thank you. Sorry. Any other questions or comments or feedback, please? Oh, sorry.
Just one couple of points I'd like to make, please, Chair. In that I was part of the original steering group when the neighbourhood plan was first conceived, and I'm greatly concerned that by any suggestion that the revised neighbourhood plan should be delayed until 27. Winchester City Council own written advice makes it perfectly clear that if the neighbourhood plan does not progress swiftly, the City Council will need to take on the responsibility for allocating development sites in the village. It also states that an update to the neighbourhood plan is the means by which the community has greater involvement in deciding where future development should take place, and that it is in the interest of the local community to have such a plan. In those circumstances, delay would plainly weaken Denmead's position, not strengthen it. If the Parish Council still proposes delay, it must explain why it is departing from the clear advice. Residents have engaged with this process in good faith. They were consulted extensively, and the village was led to believe that the plan was progressing towards submission this year. A delay of up to 2 years would not strengthen Denby's position, as I've said. It would weaken it, create uncertainty, and risk handling decisions over where local people have less direct influence. The Parish Council had publicly said that the updated plan was intended for submission to Winchester in April of this year. If the Council now wishes to change the course so significantly, it must explain that openly, justify it clearly, and set out the consequences honestly. I therefore ask the Council answers this plainly and that my concern is recorded in the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Kelly, just looking around, sorry, is there a question about the back there? Sorry. You're just waving. Back,
Waving up.
Okay, sorry, any other questions? No waves though, but any other questions? Any other questions or comments then, please? Sorry, there's that. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to thank you and the Parish Council and also the District Councillors for their support with dealing with the flooding issues along Anmore Road. I was delighted today to see that the ditch along there has been dug out. I'm sure it will fill in with silt from the fields as quickly as the next storm comes, but it was really helpful to see at that meeting that Suella Bradman chaired in Waterlooville that you, members of the local area mob handed her dealing with that and approaching that problem actively. So it was a delight to see that happening. Thank you for your help.
No worries. Thank you very much indeed for the feedback. And we're a long way yet. We talked earlier about the flood action group, so expect to see some communications regarding that, because we want to get ahead. We want to get a bit more proactive as opposed to reactive all the time, especially when it comes to environmental agency, Southern Water, etc. Because there are residents that have put up with it for far too long, that's for sure. So,
Hi.
Hello, Catherine.
Just following on from that question, I was going to ask this question, but as I congratulate you also on the clearing of the Ginamore Road. However, much of the water comes down Edgar's Lane, and I wonder if you consider to clear the ditches in Edgar's Lane as well, because the ditches at the top, the ancient ditches at the top have disappeared. Huge amounts of water are coming down. So as you started there, would you consider doing Edgar's Lane as well?
Yeah. I mean, this is
That's where it's coming from.
Yeah. So I think the landowners have been, if they haven't been already, they are being communicated to and asked.
I wonder.
Okay.
There's only 2 ditches there.
Did you get a communique from the environmental agency? Did you get a communication from the EA?
Only about clearing ditches, which I do.
Okay, well, fine, thank you.
There were
So they've assured us that they've gone out to ask the owners to clear the ditches, and they have said also that they are going to, their words, not mine, police, right? And that's their words, not mine. I don't want to expect to have environmental agencies running around in the middle of the night making sure ditches are cleared or whatever. But working with the EA, which is what we're now doing, and we've got some good contacts and working with those people, of which they did turn up at the meeting we had recently at the pavilion. They are very keen to work with us as well. They know that they're going to have a pretty bad press in general, and as a result they're quite keen to develop some more harmonious relationships, more proactive as well. So thank you for your feedback, and one swallow doesn't make a summer, so to speak, but let's get one of the ditches on, and then we can keep moving, right? Because there are lots of people that are affected. Some of those people I know are in the room that live in Amwell Road and others as well. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do, but it's a start. But thank you. Thanks for the feedback. Okay. I'm conscious that we've got a very nice buffet. Thank you for the Rock Art Pub and staff for that. We've got some refreshments, soft and alcohol wines by the parish as well at the hatch with Julie and Tracy serving accordingly. And the purpose of the rest of the afternoon, or the evening, sorry, where's that gone? Is this is the first time that we've tried this event in terms of having the community groups. And I'm really, really pleased. I think there's 11 or 12 at the last count. And some of the groups you may be very familiar with, and some of them you may have not even heard of them ever before. But the opportunity really was to try to get as many people as possible to understand what the groups do or don't do. You may think about the tennis club or the scouts or the football or whatever else, but there's lots of other groups here accordingly. So while you're socialising with your colleagues and friends and residents and neighbours, take a look at some of the wonderful material and stands that these guys and girls have brought along to show what they're doing in the village, because I really do believe it's a great thing. And really want to say hats off and thank you to all the community groups here. And there are some that didn't quite make it at the end. For whatever reason, they had to cancel at short notice. So for those of you that couldn't make it, hopefully they'll be here for next time. So as I wrap up, I want to say thank you to the office staff, Joe and the team. I can see Liz at the back, one of the clerks here as well. So thank you, Liz. Thank you to the office staff for all your support and help in the last year. Because a lot of what we do wouldn't be possible without your support. So thank you. I'd also like to call out the grounds team for their work in all weathers. And it's lovely that it's a nice sunny week, hopefully. But recently it hasn't been quite as nice. And as a result, they go out day in and day out, and they do a flipping good job of making the village look pretty damn tidy, in my opinion. So hats off to the grounds team for making it pretty great as far as I'm concerned. So well done, Sam and the team. Thanks to also the community groups, as I mentioned earlier, both here this evening and others that weren't, but also for the tireless efforts in helping supporting the community of Denmead. Because unless you want to join a particular group, you don't know that they're there until you want to think about the bowling or the tennis or the football or the cinema group or the repair cafe or whatever it may be. We've got a load of groups. We've got fantastic groups in the village, and leveraging that with us this evening and knowledge and sharing that It's just something that I think we should all be doing. And even if we don't want to learn how to, bowl or tennis or whatever, at least we can talk to our friends, colleagues, peers and relatives and hopefully get them involved as well. It's all going to be good for the village. So I really do think that's a good thing. I've also mentioned thanks to the White Hart for the delicious buffet. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm sure it'll be great. And finally, thank you to the councillors that are here this evening and the ones that couldn't make it, who continue to volunteer a lot of their time and effort in trying to do the right thing to help Denley a great place to live. So on that basis, thank you, councillors. I appreciate your help and time. I'm looking at this row, but I think there's one over there as well, Tim. So thank you. And that's it. If you've got feedback about tonight's meeting, about what you'd like to see different next year, hopefully we can accommodate some of those or all of it. But thanks once again. I'll close the meeting now and enjoy the buffet and the drinks and the community groups accordingly. So thank you very much indeed.